Alright guys, so I apologize. In the last video when I put in the form I didn't have the first name and last name fields. You guys should have that in your version of the template. I just forgot to update mine with them, but we do want them. So I want to do the registration, but before we do that I want to configure messaging, okay, or messages, alerts. Basically, like if we get something wrong here, like the password doesn't match, I want to have a nice Bootstrap formatted message that tells us that. So there's a few things we need to do in order to make that work. Now, Django comes with a messages app. Okay, so in the installed apps, there's actually django.contrib.messages, and we need to just configure. We don't need to do this. What we do need to add is message tags right here into our settings file. Alright, so I'm actually going to copy this and let's go to our settings file. So we want to go to btre and then settings.py. I'm going to go down to the bottom, down to the very bottom, and let's say messages, and we'll paste that in. Okay, so basically we're saying from django.contrib.messages, import constants as messages. Okay, and then for message tags, we're going to get rid of this. I don't care about that. What I do want to do is we have certain classes for Bootstrap for different like colors, like danger is for red, right? So I'm going to actually change messages. I'm going to change info to error, and I'm going to set that to danger, like that. Okay, and you'll see why. We're actually going to create a separate partial for messages or alerts. I'm actually going to call it alerts. But yeah, there's a whole messaging system, and you can see up here in installed apps that messages is one of the default apps that are included with Django. So just go ahead and add this to your settings and save it. Alright, now once we do that, let's see, we want to then create a partial. Okay, so inside templates, partials, let's create a file, and you could call it messages. I'm going to call it underscore alert or alerts.html. And we want to add the Bootstrap markup so that it looks nice. But of course, if you weren't using Bootstrap or you were using a different framework or custom styling, you can style it however you want. But basically, we first want to just test to see if there's a message. So we want to say if messages, okay, because we don't want the markup or anything showing if there's no messages. Let's do an end if, and then we want to loop through the messages if there are any. So we'll say for message in messages and for. Alright, so this is where I'm going to put some markup. So I'm going to actually put a div with the ID of message and a class of container. Okay, and then we want to put our Bootstrap markup. So with Bootstrap, we have a class of alert, and then we usually have a class of like alert dash danger or something like that. Now, remember in the settings I said error is danger. I'm actually going to replace this word danger with message dot tags. Okay. And then I want to make this div dismissible. So in this class, I'm also going to say alert dash dismissible, meaning that I can just close it. Okay, so it'll have an X. And then I also want to text dash center. And then I'm just going to put a role attribute as well. This is just standard Bootstrap syntax for an alert. And then inside this div, if it's a dismissible alert, we need a button. So I'm going to say button, give it a class of close. Okay, we also want to give it a type of button. All right, so class of close. It also needs an attribute of data dash dismiss, which is just straight bootstrap, and that's going to be alert. So data dismiss alert. Let's see, we also want to put the X mark, so we're going to use the entity of ampersand. Let's do, yeah, ampersand times semicolon. That'll give it a little X. And actually, let's wrap. I think we need to wrap that in a span. This is just like if you go to the Bootstrap website and you go to components and then alerts, this is what you're going to see. Actually, we want to add the aria dash hidden attribute like that, and that should be true. All right, so that's the dismiss button. Underneath that, I'm going to put in some strong tags, and inside here, I'm going to check to see if the message is an error. So we can say if message dot level is equal to default underscore message underscore levels dot error. Okay, and then we want to do an else. Let's do our end if. All right, so if that's true, then I just want to output the word error. All right, if not, let's see. So in the else, we want to put in our double curly braces, and we want to say message dot tags, and then put a pipe character and title. Okay, and then right under that end if, I'm sorry, under that strong, we want to put the actual message, which is going to be message. Okay, so this snippet here, you can use this in all of your, if you're using Bootstrap, in all of your Bootstrap Django applications, you can use this partial and use it as your error output or your message output. So let's save this, and to test it, let's actually just test it by outputting it when we make the post request, when we submit the form. Okay, so to do that, I'm going to, let's do a redirect. I'll say return redirect to, let's say, index. Okay, remember we have to output the partial wherever we want errors to be able to go. Let's actually redirect to register, okay, to the same page. Right above it, if we want to output a message, we do message dot error if we want it to be an error, pass in the request, and then whatever the error is. So let's just say testing error message. All right, now to be able to use messages, we need to bring it in. So up here, we're going to say from Django dot contrib, we want to import messages. All right, so let's see, undefined variable message, it's because this should be messages dot error. All right, now this is it's not going to show up because our partial isn't inserted into the register template. Okay, so that's where we're redirecting to. So what I'm going to do is open up the register HTML, which is accounts register HTML, and I need to figure out where to put this. So I'm going to actually put it right below the card body. So I'm just going to say alerts. So any alerts that are output, we want to include, and we want to include partials. /_alerts.html. All right, so let's save that. Let's also put it in the login. So I'm going to just copy this, go to the login HTML, and go right below the card body, same place, and put that in there as well. All right, so now let's test it out. So if we submit this form, we should see that test error no matter what. So let's just put whatever. There we go. Error message. Okay, let's actually put a colon right here. So basically that if statement was just going to put this out if it's an error, and we can dismiss this as well. So let's go back to our partial, and I'm just going to put a colon right here. All right, and it's up to you. If you don't want to put the word error, that's fine. That's all this is doing. Yeah, so we'll go ahead and save that. Now, one more thing I want to show you is if you want the error to disappear on its own, we could add a little bit of custom JavaScript. So if we go to our BTRE folder and go to static JS main.js and put some, we want to just use a little bit of jQuery to do a fade out. So I'm going to say set timeout, which isn't jQuery, it's just a JavaScript function to just kind of hold off on doing something, or hold off and then do something. So it takes in a function. Okay, so we'll say function. Oops. And what we want to happen is we want to use jQuery to grab the element with the ID of message, and we want to just do a fade out. So dot fade out, and we'll just put in, this takes in the speed, I'll just do slow. And then the second parameter for set timeout is the time, so we'll say 3000. So basically, after 3 seconds of the message showing, it should fade out. All right, now since we put this in the static folder in BTRE, we need to run create static so that it goes into the main static folder. So down here in the terminal, let's go ahead and do Python manage.py create static, collect static, create static, collect static, overwrite, let's say yes. Okay, so let's go ahead and try it now. I'm going to reload this and just put a bunch of junk in here. Register. Okay, we're going to wait 3 seconds. And nothing. Alright, let's check out the console. There's nothing there. Let's see. Let's look at main.js. Oh, it's not there. You know what? I think we might have to restart the server. So what I'm going to do is go to my other terminal here and just let's restart. Alright, so let's try that again. Oops. Okay, let's run it. Nope, still didn't work. Why the heck is it not there? Okay, when we run collect static, what it's supposed to do is put it in here. So if we look in main.js here, it is there. It could be cached. Let me just clear. I'm going to clear the cache with Command Shift R, or you could do Shift F5 on Windows. And let's try that. So hopefully this works. There we go. All right, so it was cached. That's why that didn't work. So if you want to do that, you can. If not, just remove that line of JavaScript. But I like it to go away on its own. So now that we have the messaging figured out, and I know that that was kind of like a sidebar. Now we can continue to do the register, because now when the passwords don't match, for instance, all we have to do is, we can close this up, close that up. All we have to do is inside our view is just call message.error and redirect to register, and it'll show the error. So in the next video, we're going to cover the whole user registration. All right, so I will see you then.